Alright, guys. I'm finally talking about Mr. Beast. Finally. This big drama with Mr. Beast. I tried multiple times to make segments about this, and the last time I tried, my stream started to fucking die from an OBS issue. And by the time I came back, I was like, man, it's kind of old news at this point. Like, everybody's already made videos about it. There's not much else to say about it. There was like 2 or 3 different attempts I made to cover that, and there were reasons why I wasn't able to go through with it. And one of them, the most recent, was my stream just dying on me, which sucks because like I have a lot to say about it. And from the YouTuber kind of utilitarian perspective, covering MrBeast's seeming downfall is definitely not bad for the channel either. But people were like, Zan, why haven't you covered the MrBeast thing? What are you biased or something? I'm like, no, I tried to. Like, I just couldn't get the full segment done without my stream dying. But now we can finally, hopefully with no tech issues stopping the stream, finally talk about this. Not just the news that's already been news, but the more recent developments and how I feel all of these revelations about MrBeast come together to create a narrative, a story that I think we can all learn from. Let me rewind you guys back a little bit before we get into the video we're going to be watching and give you some backstory so you understand what we're talking about here. I've watched MrBeast, a man who now stands, I believe, as the largest single creator on all of YouTube. Maybe not the biggest channel, because I believe like T-Series and some company channels still beat him out in terms of total subs, but like that doesn't count in comparison to single person owning a YouTube channel with their name. How many subs do they have? MrBeast is the top of the list. And I've watched him for years. I think initially watched his trolling videos, like, way back. I can't guarantee that I did, but the name MrBeast already rang a bell, like, in the first place, when I, like, found him once he started making his viral content, so I definitely already heard of him before. He's above T-Series. That's crazy. Okay. And then on top of that, like, I enjoyed even his viral content, Like, I remember one of the first videos that really got me to be a regular MrBeast viewer when I was, like, 18. I definitely didn't watch as much after, turning, like, 20 or whatever. But, like, when I was, like, 18, I watched a fair amount of MrBeast. And one of the videos that got me hooked was during Fortnite's peak when Tfue was, like, the top of Twitch because he was so good at Fortnite. Tfue and MrBeast had collabed, where MrBeast had bought this old school bus and then painted it blue and completely overhauled it into basically like a Fortnite battle bus. Like, it turned it into the battle bus and made it like a party bus as well. Like, it had a console on it. It was all lit up with like lights and LEDs. It was super cool, right? And they drove it across the state or across like down the coast from like North Carolina where MrBeast lived to Florida where Tfue lived to give it to him. And that was a great video. I always liked MrBeast stuff. I thought, especially once they started to get into the philanthropical stuff, it was very good. And I was one of the OG MrBeast fans, you could say. Not like a super hardcore fan, but I followed his stuff, and I liked it enough to watch it. It was entertaining, right? I watched as he took the like front spot or the top place as first YouTuber or best YouTuber, biggest YouTuber. Any metric you could really measure him by, he met the number one place for. He was the top of this totem pole. And everyone liked him. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. No big YouTubers were out there making MrBeast call-outs. I guess except for Jacksepticeye, who dared to have the, at the time, very controversial take that MrBeast kind of ruined YouTube. Looking back now, though, he was 100% right. And he was right to say it. Let's be real. Well, MrBeast recently had some big things come out against him. And it ended up cascading in a line of events. The first big event, the event that really broke and cracked the foundation so MrBeast's reputation could fall on YouTube, was when MrBeast's, at the time, good friend, Ava Tyson, came out as trans, and MrBeast, in response to the controversy, basically just said he doesn't care and supports his friend. The conservatives online and the conservatives in his audience did not approve of this by any means. They were very upset, as you can imagine, and their response was to immediately start attacking MrBeast. And we saw a big schism in the online space where you had most people calling MrBeast a saint, and a lot of people, particularly the more conservative people, calling MrBeast like woke or even like pro-grooming. And the allegations got pretty serious. And it really stemmed from the fact that MrBeast was not even pro-trans, just not anti-trans, right? And from there, things that were far more damning started to be dug up about MrBeast. And I promise you it was no coincidence that once MrBeast came out as more on the left than on the right on this particular culture war issue, all of a sudden these potentially career-ending things start coming up about MrBeast. And to be clear, these weren't things that were hidden or had to have been like made public by somebody. These are things like people figuring out that on the wall in MrBeast's old videos at Ava Tyson's house, one of the art drawings on the wall was a Shadman art, Shadman being a lolicon artist. And I believe the art itself was lolicon. So viewers going back a decade all saw that, didn't care, until the same month MrBeast came out as pro-trans. Or came out as defending his trans friend. And so my immediate reaction was, this is a good guy. You know, he's doing charity, he's pro-trans, he's a big YouTuber, doesn't seem to have done anything wrong other than potentially have been part of the massive group of content creators, mind you, who enabled and made excuses for and normalized Shadman at the time. Notably, the guys behind Smiling Friends were friends with Shadman at the time and backed him up in dramas on Twitter and stuff. Most of animation YouTube did, to be honest. Nuxtaku is a good example of a big YouTuber who himself is also a Gooner degenerate, but a big YouTuber who was like a defender of and friends with Shadman. So this was not anything on its own super crazy. Like, I know by today's standards, absolutely yes, but for some reason, much to my dislike, at that time, much like Nuxtaku's entire brand, if you don't know who Nuxtaku is, then my point won't really get across to you, but if you do, then you get what I mean. Much like a modern-day Nuxtaku, Shadman was just this supposed edgy memer, right? And people did not consider him the blatant pedophile that he was. And so the Nuxtaku effect took hold. And, the standard for who is okay to have been cool with Shadman and who isn't okay to have been cool with Shadman made a very clear show of itself. I think it's not good to have ever been cool with Shadman, but it was interesting to me that Chris or Ava Tyson and MrBeast were getting shit for having been in any way associated with Shadman for that art piece, but people who are still very popular today were like big defenders and friends with Shadman at the time, and no one cares, right? What bothers me is the double standard, and the fact that double standard is there suggests to me that most people talking about this don't really care about protecting kids or calling out groomers so much as they care about, like, drama and a political side, maybe even that as well, right? But things began to develop further, and people went back to long since supposedly debunked allegations against MrBeast and relitigated them, and found that these accusations sound a lot more realistic now than they did before. They look a lot more real, especially when you consider that more recent allegations were coming out at the same time that made new claims but substantiated them better. Famously, a guy who appeared in a recent MrBeast video where he's locked in a store for like 30 days or something came out and talked about how awful the living conditions were. A ton of MrBeast employees, ex-employees and stuff have come out to talk about a variety of problems, from MrBeast outright staging videos, many of the videos were fake, to hiring registered sex offenders onto the team. Basically everything, which, mind you, many of these allegations were either public, the evidence was public, or were already out there to begin with, and they all caved in, and everyone started taking them seriously within 2 months of MrBeast coming out as pro-trans. I just think that's a nice little detail that's worth remembering about all of this. Cancel culture isn't real unless you're a perfect target. And MrBeast was not a perfect target until he came out as pro-trans. Before that, he was unassailable. Now, though, most of the internet, it seems, that's like involved in discourse. Mind you, MrBeast's sub count has barely taken a hit from all this, but in the realm of YouTubers and the discourse, MrBeast's reputation has basically been nuked at this point, left and right. And it feels as though he doesn't even care about keeping his sort of image intact. It feels like he's leaning fully now into the douche-tuber, clouded-up public figure money racket. He's leaning fully into it, with a variety of products. Feastables and MrBeast Burgers seemed like reasonable business position or business moves made in order to make a little extra money on the side to fund the YouTube channel, because he famously would always say that he reinvests all of his money into his channel. Like, he reinvests all of it into outdoing the last video, right? And so more income streams make sense, right? He's just doing ghost kitchens and selling chocolate. Doesn't seem like that big a deal. Until it turned out, as people have now discovered, mind you, this was always available to find. People only started looking once MrBeast became the perfect target. That Feastables, while yes, initially the factories and the people making them were, checked to be like kosher safe. They were checked to be like cruelty free. Go down the list, right? No slavery involved. Like that whole like big list that MrBeast touted as being why his chocolate was so ethically made. Turns out at the last moment, they switched manufacturers to a manufacturer that does not meet any of those standards. And then had the majority of the chocolate that has been produced since then has come out. Or since, the majority of chocolate from MrBeast that has been bought was from that company, not the original factory that they were able to tout all these achievements of, right? And so all these things just kept bubbling up to the surface. And now, the big new news that just feels like MrBeast giving up on making himself look like a nice guy. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he stops the charity stuff soon. Is he is now collabed with Logan Paul, a crypto scammer, and KSI, another crypto scammer, I believe, and also just general douche tuber. Like, he's been on YouTube a long time. There's a reason people don't like him, and he's popular with like young kids. The dumb young kids who've always funded these douche tubers that are such awful people. It's amazing that they still have a platform. Basically MrBeast is leaning fully into it, taking the Jake Paul KSI route and collabing with them to make a crossover of their products. Logan and KSI's Prime energy drink, which you might know because it was made fun of by South Park with their Cred energy drink episode. The Prime energy drink and the Feastables Beast Bar have been... They've collabed to make Lunchly, a Lunchables knockoff that is being advertised as a healthier alternative, which obviously doesn't mean it's healthy, but the wording healthier alternative is meant to make parents who think they can buy processed foods for their kids and still keep on top of their health think that they're doing well for their kids. And obviously for kids to use as an argument when begging their parents to buy it in the store so they can have MrBeast's product, their favorite YouTuber's product, like, oh my god, please, I need to have it, it's healthier. You know, that it's all for that, right? MrBeast, KSI, Logan Paul, who basically the three of the four horsemen of the apocalypse on YouTube have come together to make an unholy product simply marketed at kids in a dishonest way. And apparently, there could be some health concerns about it as well. And on top of that, the marketing for it has been just massively douchey. And I felt, let's watch this Dr. Mike video that goes into the health concerns about the food, while also, no doubt, going over some of the ridiculously cringe advertising. And man, I have a lot to say about this. This has basically led to what's being called the YouTube Civil War, which I'll get a little deeper to in a bit. But I feel like I've given a good 15 minutes of preamble. Oh, did my stream just die? I told you. I talk about MrBeast. My stream gets killed. YouTube won't let it happen. YouTube can't let it happen. Are we back? You could hear the bubbling, I'm sure, from the OBS pop-up saying stream died and came back. Are we back? I told you guys, there is a curse on my channel. I am not allowed to stream if I'm talking about MrBeast. As I said, though, where was I? What an unfortunate timing thing. Oh, yeah. We're going to start the video because I feel I've given 15 minutes of preamble too long, and I don't feel I needed to give much background to most of that stuff because most of you guys probably already know, but I feel it's worth it because I never really got to make a video giving my takes and all that before. My general position is MrBeast is getting valid criticism for all the stuff he's getting valid criticism for. I'm just upset that most of this stuff has only become a problem seemingly after he became this perfect target who has dared to come out in favor of trans people, right? I just thought that was interesting and warranted some calling out. So let's watch the Dr. Mike video. I'm excited to find out what health concerns this Lunchly product has. Let's get into it.
MrBeast and Logan Paul have announced they were teaming up and launching a new food product called Lunchly to compete with the uber popular kids brand Lunchables. And the reception has been less than...
There's so many things I'm going to call out about this that are going to come off as maybe even reaches, but I need you to understand they're not. Like, this is insane content creator brain is what MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul have. It's how they got to where they are. They understand viewer psychology absurdly well. Make no mistake. So, here's the situation. I think the only reason why they decided to make this Lunchables competitor is because in the last couple months, in about the amount of time it would have taken them to organize this, Lunchables being accused of having lead in their meals not only was a big news story, but also a big meme. Lunchables itself is a iconic, recognizable, and classic, like, memed food snack, you know what I mean? Like, you grew up seeing Lunchables commercials nonstop if you watched Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon as a kid, right? And so everyone knows Lunchables. So why not take something that's already a meme while also playing on a health concern parents might have and create, like, the ultimate trend product? Prime was already a trend product. Now they've made, like, the ultimate trend product.
Stellar. Many creators took to social media to criticize the product and the creators themselves. Logan and Jimmy were quick to push back on the critics with their own posts, and in the process created newsworthy headlines like,
YouTube stars are coming for your kids' lunch. It's a move that has MrBeast, Logan Paul,
They're coming
and KSI
in my lunch?
teaming up to take on Lunchables.
And I usually don't make videos discussing creators' products, but when terms like healthier or better for you get tossed around, I feel it's important to set the record straight. So, in the spirit of avoiding personal attacks...
He's going to make this argument for sure because he's a doctor, and this is, like, the point that has to be pointed out. Healthier does not equal healthy. So when you're shopping for foods, particularly health foods and diet stuff, you do not want to, like, assume that healthier option on a box or on advertising means that you're shopping healthy. You need to actually educate yourself about the fundamentals of, like, nutrition and meeting your macros, getting the proper amount of nutrients and vitamins you need, you know, keeping a decent amount of calories in and calorie out ratio so you don't become morbidly obese to an unhealthy extent, or anorexic, I guess, or what's the term for it? Like, is it anorexic? Is that when you're, like, really skinny? Like, is it obese and anorexic? Or are those opposites? Because I thought anorexia is, like, also a mental condition, or just is. Yeah? Okay, maybe. I don't know. You don't want to be underweight or overweight. We'll just use that, ideally. So you kind of have to put work in there, but unfortunately, a lot of these processed foods, things like Lunchables, take advantage of two groups of people that are almost a circular Venn diagram. People who are low income, and people, kids, I should say, whose parents can't really afford to prepare them meals. You know? If you're getting Lunchables for lunch every day, chances are your parents, if you even have two parents, you might be a single parent household or just have one guardian, work a lot, can't afford to cook you food or make you a breakfast or pick you something up that might be, a little more substantial, and instead have to buy prepackaged processed food that lasts a while and can be easily packed and taken to school because there's such a rush, there's such a hurry, and it lasts a while. And it's, in the short term, seems cheaper, but in the long term, you end up wasting a lot of money on these like packages of processed food when you could meal prep, and if you had the time, you could meal prep and have lunch, dinner, and breakfast for weeks, maybe, or a week plus, depending on how many people are in your household. This entire type of food, this processed food industry, takes advantage of people with no time and no money. Those are the people who buy processed food. It is like downright predatory with how much dishonest advertising, how comparatively unhealthy the food is. It's a big problem. Processed foods have been time and time again proven to be not a good thing to have as the majority of your diet as a human being. You just shouldn't. So at the end of the day, Lunchly is just not healthy for you. It's not going to hurt you to eat it every once in a while, but like just processed packaged food in general that you're like, that has a bunch of preservatives and shit in it is just not really good for you. You should be eating like real food from time to time.
Let's take a look at the science of Lunchly, including a true issue with their kits I don't think anyone has correctly pointed out yet. For those who may not know, Lunchables are basically these pre-packaged do-it-yourself meal kits. They've usually got things like crackers, deli meats, cheeses, treats, and come with a little drink. And since their inception, they've been super popular with kids. However, it's been known, especially by experts, that while these kits are fun and tasty, their nutritional value is just not good. They're often too high in sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars, and don't use healthy whole food ingredients. And because they fall into the category of ultra processed food.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Not processed foods, ultra processed foods. There's actually, I forgot, I literally thought I misremembered that phrase when I had heard it before. I haven't seen this video, but I've heard this term a lot in reference to this drama. I thought I'd misremembered it because ultra processed foods just sounded so silly. Yeah, they literally have a word for how many preservatives and whatnot are in this stuff, how much they put, like, I'm pretty sure there's just a ridiculous amount of salt, just sodium, in the Lunchly thing. Like, Prime is just loaded with sodium, the Lunchly food itself is just loaded with sodium, and that's how they artificially inflate the claimed amount of electrolytes it has. So it's like full of salt, full of other preservatives, not all that good for you. Probably, like, anything sugary in there has high fructose corn syrup.
Foods, they aren't healthy to consume often, period. Studies actually show that those consuming high amounts of UPFs can have up to 50% higher risk of developing obesity, and some specific UPFs
higher chance of
are
cancer,
linked to
too.
increases in cancer. I see
Yes!
even in my...
Yes! I swear I have not... I couldn't even read that text, for one, because the screen is so small, and two, I have not pre-watched this, I swear to God. But yeah, no, like, processed foods famously have a connection to higher rates of cancer, which is why, by the way, you can literally look at statistics and see the Venn diagram lines of likelihood of developing cancer and income. Not only if you are lower income are you more likely to develop cancer, but you're obviously more likely to lack the means to have it treated.
My clinic, so many of my pediatric patients are over-consuming UPFs, and it's becoming a growing problem across the country. Consumer Reports even dedicated a special feature highlighting the problems with Lunchables and why they shouldn't be consumed regularly due to health risks. My own take on Lunchables, I don't recommend parents pack them for their kids on a daily basis. A low-quality food with poor nutritional value.
Holy shit.
But now what about Lunchly? Starting with the first claim, in the press release announcing the product, Logan Paul was quoted as saying Lunchly is a healthier alternative and that it's a better for you lunch option compared to Lunchables. In fact,
Better
throughout the
for
Lunchly
you.
website
Very
and the
careful
social
wording.
media promo posts, you'll see
I'm sure they had the
countless
lawyers look it over.
comparisons being made to Lunchables. To be honest, some of the comparisons are kind of cringe and don't make much sense to me, but maybe that's because I'm not the target demo. Flavor.
Yeah. Very important point. I'm so glad he calls out here. He's not the target demo, but the reason why some of these points are going to seem weird is I bet a bunch of them are based on memes. Oh my God. Holy shit, I already see it. Mid. The lowest option is mid. And they're like, they use the word mid in their branding and shit. Yeah, absolutely. They're using like even Gen Z brain rot language in their like marketing and advertising in order to appeal to like the brain rotted Zoomers. Like, I guess Gen Alpha that would buy this or beg their parents to buy this.
Powerful combos versus standard picks, the meal kit combos are nearly identical to Lunchables. Big gestures versus mid moments. I certainly don't remember that lesson in my nutrition classes. I was more concerned with the nutritional comparisons being made anyway, so if someone was to make a healthy meal kit for kids, I would find that incredibly valuable. And in looking in the comparison, I'd be most interested in calories, which they have, protein, which they have,
viral
sugar,
product.
which they have, saturated fat,
as opposed to
which
a
is
viral
missing,
video,
and sodium, which is not only missing, but replaced by electrolytes. And unlike all the other macros, is only labeled potassium and only in the Prime bottle in the kit, comparing it to the Capri Sun in the Lunchables. This is a pretty weird marketing choice to label electrolytes in food products. It's such a strange choice that it even stunned fellow Dr. Brian Suterer, who tweeted,
"Sodium getting rebranded as electrolytes will be taught in
Yep.
marketing textbooks one."
Yep, I talked about this literally earlier. This has been one of the biggest points that people have been talking about with this Lunchly product is the high sodium. And you don't really need to, like, you can just look at that 400 milligrams of sodium and be like, oh, that's a lot of fucking sodium for one meal. That's a lot. Also, sodium is not a valid electrolyte. It's not. When you put that stuff in your body, you are losing more from it than you are getting out of it.
One day.
and then sadly was ashamed to see Logan attack instead of starting a meaningful dialogue with the doctor, given that 400 milligrams is not the amount of electrolytes in Prime, at least in the image that Logan shared.
It's gonna be
400
more.
milligrams of potassium plus 5 milligrams of sodium equals 405 milligrams of electrolytes. It's not about
Also, potassium is a good electrolyte.
nitpicking. It's just about being reasonable and honest to help further the conversation. Look, if I want to decide if a food is right for me, I like to be able to compare the entire electrolyte profile, which would have to include sodium. It's like having a PB&J sandwich label that says what's in the sandwich, you know, protein, fats, calories, but then the sugar line only tells you what's in the peanut butter as opposed to the jelly in the entire sandwich. I wanted to go further and do the comparisons myself using the nutrition facts from the Lunchables.
To give you an idea, I'm pretty sure if you ate like 3 Lunchleys, like a Lunchley for every meal of the day, you might be able to go to the doctor and have a measurably higher blood pressure. That's not a joke. I'm not even joking. If Delancer is here, because Delancer's a doctor and wants to confirm this to me, I'm pretty sure you could go to the doctor after having like 3 Lunchleys, like at the end of the day, and they will be able to measure a slightly elevated blood pressure. I'm almost certain.
And Lunchly websites, and it's honestly really hard to draw perfectly clear conclusions
Yeah.
for
Drinking salt water is bad because, assuming it's ocean salt water, the ratio of salt to water means that when you drink it, it sucks more water from your body than the water that you're drinking, because, yeah, it's so saturated with salt.
several reasons. One, I don't have nutrition facts
Oh,
for
we just hit
each
another
part
eight.
of the
Let's go.
kits. For example, how many calories come from Feastables versus the food component? Second, some of the portion sizes aren't the same. The turkey cracker kit from Lunchables is 82 grams, while Lunchly's is 72 grams. 3, there are so many varieties of Lunchables that just swapping out the flavor of Capri Sun caused significant differences in sugar and calorie content. What I was able to conclude is that Lunchly has less sugar and therefore less calories than Lunchables in comparable kits. That's probably due to the drink component of the kit, as Capri Sun uses sugar and Prime is artificially sweetened. Lunchly has significantly more potassium than Lunchables because of the Prime drink, which I guess is good, but not something I'd regularly use in deciding if a food is an ideal.
At the end of the day, no matter what, like, there's no real reason to compare the two outside of, like, the obvious, like, meme value and being like, oh, okay, let's evaluate if Logan Paul and MrBeast and KSI are lying about Lunchly and how healthy it is. That's obviously, the angle there. But at the end of the day, we all know that this processed food that's being marketed at kids is not healthy. We know that these processed foods have always, ultra processed foods, I should say, have always been marketed at lower income, rushed, usually single parent households, or if they are a dual parent, they've got both parents working nonstop, very little time to cook for the... Oh, what the hell? Oh my god, they added mosquitoes to Minecraft. What the fuck? Nightmare fuel, literally. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, achievement. Not incorrect. Back to it.
lunch for a kid. Lunchly has slightly less sodium and saturated fat than comparable Lunchables. That's definitely moving in the right direction. However, both differences were fairly small. Lunchly does use real cheese as opposed to cheese product, signaling that at least one ingredient is less processed than in Lunch.
Okay. I wish that, I hope that Dr. Mike reads the MrBeast tweet, but it doesn't look like he's going to, because it just looks like he's moving on through this point. But the reason why that cheese instead of cheese product point was brought up is because MrBeast, and I wanted to bring this up so bad during the segment, so I'm glad I got reminded to. MrBeast, have you ever noticed MrBeast speaks when on Twitter? Like, look up MrBeast and look at his tweets, and then look up Elon Musk's Twitter and bring up his tweets. Now, purely, I want you to look at the way they speak, the way they tweet about things, and tell me there is not an uncanny similarity. As you can imagine, it did not surprise me to recently find out that MrBeast has gone on record saying that Elon Musk is his biggest idol, like that he looks up to, his biggest inspiration, and he wants to be the next Elon Musk. That should not have surprised me in the slightest, and it really didn't, to be fair. It honestly seemed accurate at this point. But yeah, dude, like, a lot of this is literally MrBeast desperately wanting to be the next Elon Musk. Like, it really is actually just that simple. Okay, this thing should actually be good to run on its own. I don't need to micromanage the inventory now. It's got plenty of room to pick up any netherite it finds. I just gotta follow it.
But the entirety of the kit is still considered an ultra-processed meal. Lunchly has higher amounts of A and B vitamins, which can be good, but also can be problematic as vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin, and kids can easily overconsume it, leading to toxicity. Being that it's fat-soluble means that you can't just urinate excess out. This has actually been raised as an issue by...
Oh. Yeah. Shit. I hadn't even thought about that. Fuck, dude. And on top of that, that was a big part of the Prime drama, too, because Prime Energy should not be drunk by kids. It's literally not healthy for kids. That was, like, a big part of this, and Logan Paul had to walk it back by saying it's not advertised to kids. It's advertised as a sports drink for adults and athletes. But, oh, fuck. Obviously, it's advertised as kids. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, this is bad. This is so bad. Oh, my God, this is so bad. Oh, shit, what do we do? Oh. Oh, did we? I think we killed the lava. It killed our furnace thing, though. Damn, I couldn't save it.
Experts with Prime in general. Despite these legitimate upgrades, social media posts are slamming Lunchly for not being perfect. But Lunchly does not need to be perfect to be valuable for kids. It just needs to be significantly healthier in order to reduce risk. As a doctor, I use risk reduction all the time, essentially taking something harmful and replacing it with something less harmful, but still imperfect. As an example, I would never recommend starting vaping, but getting someone to replace smoking cigarettes with vaping is generally a good step down in terms of health risk. Knowing all that, is it fair to say...
Dude, people still argue about this. Like actually, I've still seen people argue that vaping, we don't know enough about vaping to know if it's more dangerous than smoking, and that it might be more dangerous. I think there's a possibility, but at this point, it seems like most medical professionals have settled on the like consensus that vaping is almost certainly better than smoking. Like to the extent that doctors recommend if you are a smoker and you just can't quit nicotine, then they would rather you vape. you know, than smoke. Aw shucks, guess we can't eat polar bear livers anymore. Oh yeah, too much vitamin A.
that Lunchly is healthier. I guess one can say yes, but honestly, probably more so as a marketing tactic. The reason why? Well, let's look at the recently passed nutrition standards set forth by the USDA for school lunches and see how Lunchly compares. Going line by line here. Less than 10% of calories should come from saturated fat. Lunchly turkey, 23% of calories come from saturated fat. Less than 10% of calories should come from added sugars. Lunchly turkey, 10.4 comes from added sugars. But this is where things get really interesting, and for some reason no one has pointed this out. You see, USDA caloric guidelines say that a lunch meal for kids K through 8 should contain around 625 calories. Kids need energy to function, and calories give them that energy. Lunchly turkey contains only 230 calories, which would mean a kid would need to eat about 2.7 portions to consume enough calories. And if they did that,
Also, isn't turkey like one of the leanest meats you can possibly eat? I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure turkey is like, I mean, there's leaner meats, I know, like rabbit's pretty lean, but like turkey, as far as stuff you'll find on American shelves, isn't turkey like really lean? Which to a degree might be good if you need to be on a diet, but like, we're assuming we're making a healthy product for kids to eat. If the meat is good, it's fine if they eat a good amount of calories of that. It might even be better. Like, a lot of calories isn't bad as long as you're living an active lifestyle. Most kids are living a pretty active lifestyle and can handle like a good amount of calories of like meat. That's what they should be eating, like a good bit of meat and carbs. They need the energy. The problem is this processed shit has so much artificial sweetener, which itself, that can range from like 0 calorie sweeteners that can genuinely be very like diet healthy, and are like a good way to add sweetness without gaining pounds, or it could mean added sugars like from high fructose corn syrup. And that's what's been a big cause, as far as I'm aware, to the obesity epidemic, the childhood obesity epidemic in America, is that high fructose corn syrup shit. It's addictive. Like, it literally, these processed foods don't just have like the marketing, the you know, the situational aspect of things going for them. On top of that, you have to consider that they're addictive. You have, like, same goes for fast food. You ever like get into a stint of like one night, like you just feel like shit and you cannot cook. Like, you just can't cook. Like, one night I was like really sick and I just could not stand up to cook without feeling awful, and I dared to order myself Uber Eats. Cool. I dared to open up Uber Eats and order myself some food with it. And next thing I know, I have ordered, like, the next 2 nights, 3 nights in a row, I've ordered fast food without even thinking about it. I'm like, what the fuck? These processed foods and, like, fast food and stuff is, like, chemically, like, they had labs designed to make this shit as addictive as possible, particularly these, like, ultra-processed foods. So it's not even just a factor of, like, these kids are going to want it because YouTuber. All they have to do is get it once, and they're going to get hooked on it, because these things that are added, these additives, are literally drugs, basically. They have addictive outcomes, and these kids are going to get addicted to it. They're literally peddling addiction to kids. According to food theory, Prime isn't even good for athletes. The only thing it would be good for is brain power. Yeah. Obviously, drinking like 300 milligrams of sodium is not good for athletes. Yes, you should not. Gatorade and fucking Powerade and all that shit is probably not good for you when you're exercising. Nothing is better than water. I promise you. Your body needs water. A lot of it.
They'd get nearly 1,300 milligrams of sodium, which is also significantly over the USDA standards. So they'd be either under eating calories or overeating sodium. Finally, the grain guidelines state that 80% of lunch meals must be whole grain, and Lunchly Turkey does not list any whole grain ingredients. It's clear Lunchly, just like Lunchables, misses the mark too many times to be considered meaningfully healthier, at least in my opinion. That being
not even
said, I
healthier.
do think many criticisms pointed at Logan, KSI, and Jimmy are unfair. Attacking them for trying to create a successful influencer product isn't...
Nah. See, all right, now is where we get into... Here's the perfect segue into the final big point of this entire drama. The fabled YouTube Civil War. So another figure, a large, respected, old-school YouTuber, just like Jacksepticeye, who recently called out MrBeast, Logan Paul, and KSI, was Dan TDM. Dan the Diamond Minecart. Not really my cup of tea, personally. That's Ethan, who just joined the server, by the way. Not really my cup of tea. But, you know, very beloved guy. I don't dislike him or anything. I wasn't like a big Dan TDM guy. I watched a few of his videos, but his mod reviews weren't really the thing I watched particularly. But everyone loves the guy. He is like a legend. He is like a staple of so many Gen Z adults' childhoods, right? And he came out to say, I believe the tweet was like, what happened to YouTubers, man? We used to be about making content. Now we're like peddling blah, blah, blah to kids. Like, it was a very strong point, you know? Basically just overtly calling out the bizarreness of the fact that it is just normal for YouTubers. We went from this era where YouTube had this big problem where you would, as a creator, get endless amounts of shit if you even, like, received donations from fans. Did you guys know that? That, like, go back to 2010, 2011, around that time, if you received donations from your fans, that was considered, like, the lowest scum you could be online. Like, you were considered like an e-begging scumbag. Then streaming kind of normalized the idea of live donations with the subscription service and donations, and the internet slowly started to realize, like, okay, maybe it's all right for fans to, like, contribute financially to their favorite creators. It's not, like, necessarily the worst thing in the world. It's not always e-begging, you know? And so the internet got a little more chill with that. Nowadays, though, we're in this area where some of the biggest content creators out there are just using their platforms as starters for businesses they use to shill shitty, overpriced products to their fans. And, like, it's normal. So Dan TDM called this out. Logan Paul, KSI, and MrBeast responded. And MrBeast kind of kept to that really friendly, like, old Elon Musk is actually how I should describe it. Not like how you imagine Elon Musk tweets nowadays, like original OG Elon Musk back when most people liked him. He tries to continue tweeting like that and, you know, diffusing things and keeps it PR minded. But Logan Paul, like, accuses Lunchables of having, like, lead in them and shit. It's just, I appreciate the calling this out. And this schismed YouTube to a degree. If you go on Twitter right now, I believe it's still trending, but it was trending before, YouTube Civil War, where, like, it seems like half of YouTubers are calling out that, like, a bunch of YouTubers are still making excuses for MrBeast and KSI and Logan Paul after the crypto pump and dump schemes, the lying, the just years and years and years, not in the case of MrBeast, but in the case of KSI and Logan Paul, of being complete cunts, just the biggest douchebags on YouTube. Now MrBeast is collabing with them after all this comes out. And there are still people defending them because Logan Paul, KSI, and MrBeast are kingmakers. They can, one video like collabing with these guys could make your career. No one for so long wanted to be the person who stuck their neck out to criticize, no matter how valid, MrBeast. If you go back to 6 months ago when MrBeast wasn't even getting shit for being pro-trans, go back to then and look at how any criticism of MrBeast went for the people who criticized him. You were treated like a genuine psycho if you had a problem with MrBeast back then. And, you know, fair enough, I guess, but it really felt like he was unassailable for so long until he became the perfect target. Until he became the perfect target. One who had dared to offend some of the most dedicated people on the internet, that being conservatives. So yeah, that's pretty much that's not even close to all I have to say about this, to be honest, but it is pretty It is pretty close to everything I have to say about it. I imagine there's some things I've forgotten. I'll probably have plenty more to rant about in future segments and videos and streams. However, that's mostly what I wanted to talk about. This era we're entering where some YouTubers are still bending the knee to MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul, despite how blatantly awful they are, while many other YouTubers are just fed up and calling them out. And I am on board with calling them out. I am tired of the last 4-5 years of precedent that's been set where particularly Logan Paul and KSI have just gotten away with everything. I don't like him too much because he's had some weird tanky takes based on what I've heard from chat, but the Cavernacle made a video about this, and I watched it recently, and his argument was that cancel culture was never real unless you were a perfect victim. And I was like, damn, or a perfect target. Not perfect victim, perfect target. And I was like, damn, that is low-key looking pretty true right now. Like, look at Dr. Disrespect returning to YouTube, or becoming... Dr. Disrespect is now the biggest, period, YouTube live streamer. Obviously, YouTube doesn't care about the fact that Twitch banned him for messaging a minor on their platform inappropriately, nor do his fans or much of the YouTube gaming audience, because he is now the biggest YouTube live streamer there is and has returned with record numbers for his all-time career since his return. I mean, hell, like, how many content creators can you think of that got mega canceled after being exposed for awful things that probably could have just kept going if they hadn't chosen to leave the internet? You know what I mean? Like, look at Onision. He's still around. That guy has literally had over a decade of nonstop hate videos made on him, and he's still around. You know what I mean? Like, cancel culture was always just a tendency to harass people, and whether or not you could be a victim of cancel culture depended on, A, whether or not your income relied on people's perception of you, because then you could just be made homeless if you got canceled. You know, maybe you get fired from your job, right? But, like, outside of that, it just seems like if you just grit your teeth and go through it, then you'll just end up in situations like this where you can just push through and no one will really be able to do anything. YouTube won't even do anything. It's really frustrating. Like, YouTube loves pretending they care about their audience when they really don't.
Inherently problematic.
Or
I
their
just think if a
creators or the
company
people
was
that watch.
truly interested in creating a healthier lunch kit for kids, the USDA standards should be the minimum starting requirements. Otherwise, we're simply propagating the problem even further. One of my hopes is that in navigating the future feedback on this company, the guys hire a health professional to guide them in making messaging more accurate. I just saw someone ask about heavy metal contamination, and Logan responded with a video of an X-ray machine checking for
you wouldn't be
foreign
able to detect
materials.
that.
That checks for stray objects accidentally getting into the meals, not heavy metal
Not
contamination,
particulates.
like we discussed earlier with Lunchables and lead. And
Yeah, the lead that is thought to be contained in Lunchables aren't literal, like, shavings or chunks of lead that you could just, like, see on an X-ray or whatever. They're little particles, like lead dust, basically. Not even lead dust, like microscopic red dust. X-rays aren't magnifying glasses. You can't see something tiny bigger on that screen. It's already invisible to the naked eye. An X-ray wouldn't change that.
And saying a food has more electrolytes, therefore it must be better or healthier, is just not true. Foods with an incredibly high sodium content and electrolyte are not considered particularly healthy. In fact, many are considered unhealthy for that reason. I can't expect non-medical people to get this perfect, but if you're gonna stand by a children's food product being healthy, you need to...
Like, electrolytes are important for your body to function, but if you're eating a normal diet, you'll get plenty from your diet. It's one of those things, right? Why do I keep hearing Westside Tyler's slugs noise? What? I think it's just the sound of me walking on Netherrack. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. Most of the things that a lot of, like, processed foods are advertised as having, like a lot of as a selling point for some, like, health gimmick, you have to remember, if you eat a good diet, you're getting plenty of it from your food already. So electrolytes and sports drinks are, I'm pretty sure, just a grift. Like literally like a psyop, pretty much, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh my god, that piglin has a gun. I need to kill it. Really? Oh. Oh, fuck. Hornlin? Die! Oh, he's reloading! Hog round. Those guys had guns. Yeah, there's guns in this mod pack. Also, oh my god, look what it did to my armor, dude. That was also burning to death to a degree, but shit, man. Not good. Okay, hopefully there's no more lava waiting to fall onto my excavator.
To hold your messaging to a higher standard. Eating a diet full of UPFs can lead to weight gain. Click here to see the harsh reality of life at 800 pounds, and as always, stay happy and healthy.
Oh, okay, that's the end of the video. Yeah, like I said, though, like, this product is just a blatant cash grab that is selling... Like, they were already selling burgers and candy in the first place, but everyone knows burgers and candy aren't healthy. This, especially with what we now know about MrBeast and everything in particularly in hindsight, it just feels so much more insidious than any other product, especially considering who he's collabing with. Another thing that's come out that was always public, by the way, and people just ignored because they didn't care about it until MrBeast became the right kind of target. Did you guys know that MrBeast and Logan Paul collaborated on a crypto pump and dump scheme years ago? And have done basically, like, they've had podcast appearances, they've talked about it multiple times in the past. They literally did a pump and dump scheme on MrBeast, notably's fans, when you consider that so many of those people no doubt came from MrBeast. No fucking way, dude. No fucking shot. No, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Oh, did it go out? Are we good? Oh, we didn't even lose the thing. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, I need to... Oh. Please. Please. No. Did we... No way. No way. It incinerated my fucking button. No way. We have to go back to the overworld and get a button, dude. Holy shit, bro. No, 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 no. Someone bring me a lever, please. There's no way I'm going back to the overworld for a lever, dude. No shot. No shot. No shot. Am I going back to the overworld for a fucking lever, dog? That's insane. A button won't work, unfortunately, because it's not continuous. Sorry, guys. Button won't work. It has to be a lever, I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah. I can't type for shit behind my mic. You guys got... I wish you guys could see my setup and how fucked it is, but, like, I can't see my keyboard at all behind my mic. I have to, like, feel around, and I can't touch type, so it's really hard. God, that shit pisses me off. God, I just want to mine. Let my mining machine run. Why must create shit be so frustrating? Why can't it just be good? Why does lava in the nether have to be a problem no matter what? Redstone torch, don't have any redstone. Trust me, I racked my brain for every possibility in like a microsecond and figured out I was fucked if I didn't go back to the overworld. But Maddie's bringing some more, so we're fine. Anyway, with that said, I think I've got everything off my my chest that I wanted to say about the MrBeast thing. Really, really upset that one of the seemingly best creators out there has gone down this road and basically been outed as just an awful guy, very disingenuous and seemingly faking all of this like charitability stuff for a better perception. But I honestly shouldn't say that this is surprising. Looking back in hindsight, when was the last time a good person was the biggest YouTuber there is? I mean, I would say maybe PewDiePie, but I mean, even he's got some skeletons in his closet. I'd say Smosh, because they were at the top. The Smosh guys seem pretty chill. But it really seems like the meta for the last 10 years on YouTube has been the worst people float to the top consistently. And so I just hope people have a general higher level of skepticism about these content creators now that all of this has come out. especially when you consider how MrBeast was seemingly untouchable for so long. Hopefully now no content creator is untouchable like that, ever again. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment and agreed with or thought I said anything cool or good, then consider dropping a like. It really helps the channel a lot. Every thumbs up goes a long way to boost the channel in the algorithm and get my content out to more people. And on top of that, if you haven't already, consider subscribing, ring the bell icon, and commenting down below, following my social medias linked in the description, and joining my fan Discord in order to be a part of the main hub of my fan base and community. It's totally free to join, of course, and yeah, I do hope to see you there. Tomorrow I'll also be hosting a watch party there, so, you know, you don't want to miss that too. And finally, if you want to support the channel, go the extra mile, you can donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buying merch with the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support the channel, though, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.